Good morning, Laura. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here, Heidi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad you took the
Mm.
offer up. So I am here with Laura DeFranco. She is the CEO of Brave Healer Productions. I've had the honor of working with her on numerous projects for different populations with children and with adults and with business owners. So she is so authentic and she makes herself available to collaborate on and connect to the possibilities that expand our thinking and options as individuals, groups, and business owners. She specializes in publishing and business strategies for holistic health and wellness professionals. And that's how I connected with Laura as a business professional in healthcare, holistic healthcare provider, writing books. You have an extensive background with 50 amazing bestseller books, including some of your own. And I just love connecting to your passion, helping other people share their brave words by sharing their stories and building businesses around those stories. So, welcome. And I am so excited for the audience to gain a little bit about what you have to offer and who you are as a person. So, how about you share the why of who your business and where you are today?
Mm. Well, as a retired physical therapist, my first business was a private cash practice, and I built that first business from the ground up. I was learning everything we don't learn in healer school, right, about business. And I was trying to figure all that out. I started writing and blogging and doing all these fun things for the business. And sooner or later, I realized I had learned a thing or two that I could pay forward to my other healthcare professional friends. And business number two was founded in 2016 with that why. The why was like, oh my gosh, it does not have to be so hard for my friends to do this, to build their businesses, to get the word out in a bigger way. And so I started teaching some classes and wanted to really pay forward all that I had learned. And that was the beginning of this Brave Healer Productions.
I can identify with that as someone who built their business up and was really working hard. I was working harder and not smarter. And I think those are the key words that we see a lot written in different published works is how do you work smarter and not harder? And I think a big part of that is using our creativity. And as healthcare providers, we have to follow a certain protocol, and that takes away from that creative piece. So that's what I love about what you do. And I wish I had you earlier when I started my business. So tell me about ways that you've used your creativity that you could share with other healthcare professionals that are in that spot where they're feeling a little stuck. Maybe they're not feeling as passionate about what they do, because I love your passion.
Well, that was definitely me. And, my whole career as a physical therapist, I did say to my friends, I love what I do. And I did, until the day with a client where I noticed I was looking at the clock. And because I have this practice of awareness, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Why do I look at the clock every 10 minutes to see if this session is up yet? Right. And so the passion started draining, not because I didn't love the work, but because the idea that what I had to offer could be shared with more people at once started brewing. And I started feeling drained trading my hours for dollars. And I wanted to be able to have a bigger impact. And these feelings were first like soaked with guilt. And then when I realized, no, things change, your passions change, your why changes, your purpose changes. It's okay that I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. So why don't I just connect in and see what messages the universe has for me in terms of making a transition? Man, that was scary though, I will just say.
Mm.
So, you ask about creativity, and when you said that, I immediately thought, well, everything creative I do or I have done, all the crazy ideas I've put into action since that second business opened, have been because I learned how to slow down and listen to the universe. I learned how to meditate. I learned how to connect, mostly with nature for me. That's a big inspiration. And so when I get creative, it's because I'm connected and ideas move through. And I don't know, you could call that whatever you want. Like I listen to my intuition, I practice awareness, I practice connecting, and then I try stuff. I'm not afraid to try new things.
Right. I love that. And it brought me back to, as a professor and as a practitioner as well, how we're taught to use our intuition, our clinical judgments, right, as they're called, but it's really intuitions because it's every moment you're making decisions based on your care of another person. So I like that you brought that up and how creativity can make such a difference and spark that passion for what you do. And sometimes we have to make transitions, and it is hard. And I can identify with that. I started a second business too, and I'm like, well, why would I change that first business? It is working, but something there was a piece missing. And you helped me identify that through a lot of what you have to offer. And I mentioned earlier about how you expand our thinking and provide us with options, not only as individuals, but you also have your saying with your new Networking for Healers book. And I love to quote this because I love how you stated this: curating conversations, connections, and community that manifest your dream business. So I love that what you have to offer now is connections, and it's not just connections for you. And you mentioned that with networking, it's about how we can help other people. And that's where the expansion happens, right? Is making those connections, sharing, not being afraid to share what you're doing in hopes that somebody doesn't take what you're doing. It's not fear based. And I think that's great what you do. And then we build communities, and so much of what you've done is about community building. And I want to just bring up your latest endeavor, which is Networking for the Healers book, and then also your transformational school, which I became a part of as well. So let's talk about that a little bit and how you want to see that expand and where you want that to go and how that helps build communities and connections.
Um, oh my gosh, there's so many things here. So I'll back up and say that, before you pick up the Networking for Healers book, I want you to fully connect with your badass, authentic self. That's the only way that you'll take a book like this networking book and make it work for you. Because if you're going to put the strategies into action, you have to be seated firmly in your authentic self and feel good. You don't have to feel great in your skin, because I did it afraid first, but you at least have to be practicing showing up as the full you, and then watch the magic happen with everything that I'm talking about in Networking for Healers. There's so much there that we could talk about, but the Brave Healer Transformation School, the why behind that was because our specialty as a publishing company is an expert collaboration where I bring people like you in who are health and wellness professionals offering a really authentic and vulnerable story, but then we transition in these chapters to strategy, to tools, to things that the readers can do. And this was, in the beginning of COVID, it was like, whoa, we all lost our people. We need to teach everyone what to do at home right now, right? So when I was thinking about the Brave Healer Transformation School, I was like, well, duh, like they're all teaching a class in these chapters. Like we need to also have a place where healers can then teach their online courses, take these chapters, go the next step. The reader can come after they read, and now they can go over here and learn from you. And so my vision for the Brave Healer Transformation School, and quick shout out to Dr. Ariana Platten, who is our director of the Transformation School now. The vision there is to get together and do this together. It's a collaborative marketing effort. We want to get these words and work and courses and our books out into the world, and you can't do that alone. And so kind of circling back to this idea of curating the community, right? Which is back to the Networking for Healers book. So everything that I do is with that kind of energy, and it's big energy. It's big, manifesting, amazing kind of energy.
And it can be overwhelming. So I think you brought up great points, right? It's because I felt that. I was there, and that fear sometimes can take over and go, not today. And I've done that with that you've had to offer. I'm like, oh, that's great. I don't think I can do that. So that little voice inside that switches your thought pattern into moving backwards and not so much forwards, or staying in that comfort zone. So I think you brought up a good point, is being in the moment so that you can be authentic. And a lot of the different authors and different people that we've collaborated with within Brave Healers have all worked with that and brought those tools to the forefront to teach other people. So I like that. That's the expansion part, is we're all getting past our fear. And then we're collaborating and sharing, and then that support. And especially during COVID, everybody lost that support of who they had and in person, but then we learned about being virtual and how that support can be just as strong. So I think that's great. You brought up an excellent point with support. So maybe if we didn't touch on it yet, how do you provide support within all of that you have to offer for those people that might be a little on the fence, to push them into that forward motion?
Well, I think one of the books I wrote was called How to Have Fun with Your Fear. And that kind of fear I call purpose-driven fear. And that might be the kind of fear you're feeling. It's like tinged with excitement. It is going to move you towards your purpose if you can get through it, right? And I think the only way that we move forward is in community with support like that. I mean, you can do it yourself, but you weren't really meant to do it yourself, and it's going to take you a lot longer, and it's going to be a lot harder. And one of the reasons I wrote the networking book was because of the impact community building and support had on me and my business. I was moving through the motions of crafting the community and realizing what was happening. And I thought, whoa, all my healer friends need to understand this is not just you in your clinic doing your thing. This is a much bigger opportunity that you have to make connections and get the support you need. I mean, all kinds of support, right? And I love this question because as a publishing company, I really want to be known for the fact that there's a lot that comes after the book launch, and author entrepreneurs need so much more besides a published book. They need the support and the help to, then what? Now what? After you have this beautiful thing out into the world, well, you got to get out and talk about it and share about it and teach your tools and market and promote yourself and get into communities and, network and all these things. And you talk about overwhelm earlier, and so I know that feeling, right? And I don't want to make it feel so scary. I want you to come into a community where you're like, whoa, I can do this. Like, and this is it. These are my people. I can do this, right? I love these people. Like, let's go. So that's a little bit kind of what's behind that support. We have a lot of things going on around here in terms of support.
Right. I think there's a couple things that you may not have touched on. And I think about it only because as an occupational therapist and working with community-based programs, I work with different learning styles and I work with different abilities. And it's breaking down those complex things or things that seem so overwhelming to someone, break it down into simple steps, and you do that very well. If you're feeling fearful, I can only speak from experience at this point in working with a number of different projects, is how do I write a book? I don't know if I can write. I mean, all these things that go through your head. And then you send out that positive email that says, hey, I just want you to know we're going to be working with you. We're your support. This is what you do, A, B, C, and D. Oh, I can follow A, B, C, and D. I love checklists. I do well with checklists. I feel better with the checklist knowing that I'm moving forward. And you do that really well in your emails to let everybody know what's the first step. Here's the big steps. Okay, now here's your first step. Just do this. Don't worry about anything else. And I think that eases that anxiety or that little bit of fear, so that you're going, okay, I can work on a step. So I love that whatever you do, whatever project there is, we're getting an email that says this is what you need to do. And a reminder, hey, this is where we're at. I love deadlines. I'm better with deadlines. Some people don't like deadlines. I love deadlines. I'm like, okay, by then, so that means within the next 5 days, I'm going to be doing this, this, and this. So I like that you do that. For anyone who might be feeling fear or saying, I'm not a writer, or I don't collaborate well, or I couldn't start a business, this is it. It's not as complicated as it seems. And that's Laura's job as the CEO of Brave Healer Productions to do that for you. And you do that well.
Thank you for that, for those kind words. And also thanks for bringing that up. I don't always think about that. I am sort of a crazy visionary alien, and I am very time management and organizationally oriented. And so I have to run this rocket ship by being organized, right? So if I didn't have the step-by-steps, it would be a big fat mess, right? And I think sometimes when you're in projects and you're realizing that the project management isn't up to par, it can be so stressful. And then you just want to give up, you want to get out, and so I really appreciate that feedback, because that is part of how I keep my desk in order, literally, like, to have those things and not have to be in overwhelm. There's, you're making me think of something. I was talking to my daughter, and she's got finals, and she's stressed, and everything is stressful, and there's too many things to do, and it's overwhelmed, and I don't know how I'm going to do this, Mom. And I looked at her, I'm like, yeah, but you always get it done, don't you? And that's something I've had to say to myself too. Like when I have a little panicky moment in the week and all these things and all the little check marks that need to be checked. And I'm like, you know what, Laura, you always get it done.
Right.
Like, it's fine. You're going to be cool. Right. And you kind of have to talk to yourself that way.
Yeah.
When you know that about yourself.
And we use what we teach. You take a breath. I find myself taking a breath and going, you can do this. Grounding myself. Okay, where do I start? So it's those little steps that build up to the bigger outcome. And I can do that well at work, but at home it's different. I feel like I just want to be haphazard, but that's not the way life is. So I like how you do that. And I just want anyone who's listening during this podcast that it is possible. And you help us to expand our thinking through your creative ways that you bring up, and the team members that you have behind you, like Ariana. She's fantastic as well, working with I just went blank on it. The next big
the transformation school.
Transformation school.
Yeah.
I'm like, could I do a course? Well, I've taught some courses, but could I write a course? And it really is nice with those steps again. So I think that's important. It's always expanding. And one thing that I thought of when you were mentioning about how you work and your passion and creativity is that you find ways to expand by sharing what you know and aligning with the needs of your group of people you're working with. So you listen, you're a listener, and you say, oh, people are looking for this. Let me start a course that will help them better understand that. I don't know how you do that and you get it done so quickly, but I'm like, I'd love to be like that. So I'm just following along and realizing how you work, because I love the way you work. I love just how you make it happen. And I can do that. So I love how you listen to the needs of the people that you're working with and sharing with.
So, so do you mind if I throw a wild idea about creativity into this?
Go for it. Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm going to write it down. I got my pen and my piece of paper.
Okay. Get ready, y'all. So I had, the best coaches have excellent coaches, and I have had excellent mentors and coaches. And one of them one day when we were talking about creativity said to me, your creativity is intimately and directly connected to your sexuality. And I paused because I didn't expect that to come out of her mouth in terms of creativity. But a creative energy flow is its essence connection, its universe connection. Wouldn't it make full sense that that's sensual, sexual creation connection from that standpoint? And so we had a pretty incredible conversation about that. And I had to kind of do that self-reflection. I'm like, what am I feeling? And I'm going to just get back to what I said about showing up as your full-on, authentic, amazing self, feeling good in your own skin. The confidence comes from that root connection, right? It's sexy, it's sensual, it's flowy, it's all those beautiful things, but I had never really thought about that before. And so when I'm in that, I'm in creativity. When I am creative, I am in that. They are connected. So I know that sounds, for what we were talking about before, that might be a little wild sounding to some people, but maybe it resonates.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, I think the word sensuality and sexual kind of puts people on alert, like, huh, what?
It
'Cause it did
does.
for me
I
too. I
know.
don't really think that way. But when you really look at the theorists, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, do you remember that in school? We
A
teach
little
that,
bit, yeah.
right? Okay, what is
Uh-huh.
your base? What's the base? What's the bottom, right? Do you remember what the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs was?
Well, it's got to be survival. That's root chakra. It's right down in the pelvis, people.
Safety.
Yeah.
Yes, safety, security, getting your needs met. So that can encompass a lot. That's a sense of freedom and safety. And, we've worked a lot with people who've been traumatized, whether that's
Yes.
through an injury, an illness, they're no longer who they used to be, they're not comfortable, whether it's sexual, physical, emotional, you need to feel safe. And I think a lot of the courses that you have to offer and a lot of the programs help us get tools, education out there for people that may not feel rooted or safe or grounded in who they are within their authentic self. They've lost that person. So I think it's important to remember that. And through that freedom, you feel feminine. You feel your authentic self, right? It's a lightness. Not feeling safe is not light. I can speak from experience with illnesses and a trauma going on is you're not connected. I think that's a good word because you disconnect. You disassociate from what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. And these courses and these books help us share our journeys through whatever trauma it might be, so we all feel safe and rooted and help bring us back to our authentic self and identify.
Yeah, I love the way that you talked about that. And when you feel those ways, you move from that place and the freedom word is really resonating with me. It's free, it's flowy, it's relaxed, it is sensual, it is in flow, right? Rather than these other things that we tend to feel or we can feel, which are a little bit more tight, constricted,
Mhm.
blocked, stuck. We use that word a lot with people who aren't feeling the creative flow, is stuck. So Yeah, of course. And that's the reason to do the work. It has been for me. I
Right.
have big vision. I have to come back and do the work if I expect that that vision is going to be coming to a reality, or if I'm going to be able to do the things I need to do for that big vision. I got to come back every single time. I got to come back here to myself and do the work.
Right.
And it could be some of the work that we talked about.
Yeah, and it's levels. They call it like
Yeah.
peeling an onion. There's layers, there's levels that we go through. And with each project I find that I become invested in, I learn more about myself because I'm sharing my story and going, wow, I never really looked at it that way because I'm being creative when I'm writing, right? Pen to paper. I think that's a statement you always say is pen to paper for movement. It's a feeling of movement to get that out. And that helps us to be our authentic self. So I think you have so many different tools that you offer your community, and one of them is the writing group. I became part of that, and it helped me feel freer with writing. You have the time things that you do, and I'm like, I can't think about it. I can't analyze it. As a health professional, that's what I did. I analyzed everything and I came up with outcomes for and assessments for that. This isn't that. That's that freedom that you allow us. You give us tools to feel that freedom to move past that comfort zone, which is not always feeling safe, but then the support that we have is that safety net. And then we move forward and it's non-judgmental.
Super important, that last piece. The Brave Healer Writer Circle is one of my favorite things that we do. It's another shout out to Dr. Erica Putnam, who is the director of the Writer Circle. And thank you to Lisa Karasek, who is a facilitator. I just had one of our business writing sessions yesterday, and that is my favorite, is helping business owners express through writing and then eventually speaking their what they do themselves and what they do, so that others really get it and are excited about learning more. And sometimes it is the hardest thing to write about yourself, right? So when you can get somebody just writing, no expectation, free flow, intuitive, put that pen down, write as fast as you can without censoring yourself, just move the words out. That's an energy shift. That's a moment of healing. And, you know, when you can allow yourself to feel, move it through, get what's up in your head out onto the paper, that is an awareness process that is incredibly profound, whether you're going to be writing for anyone else to read or not. I'm like waving this in front of my face because I have it in my hand. I talk with my hands a lot. But it doesn't matter. The process is what matters. It doesn't matter if you're going to publish it. Don't even have any expectation at first, right? I write to feng shui my soul first.
I love
and everything we do has a foundation that of the idea that this is a healing journey. We're doing that together.
right. And I just want to go back, reel it in, and go back to what you said as far as how do you root yourself? How do you get in that space to do all of this? And you and your groups, you're doing breathing. In some of your workshops, you're doing breathing. You're helping us to root ourselves and center ourselves and open our mind and get past that analytical or negative self-talk and just move forward. So I like how you bring it all together in whatever you bring for a workshop.
Thank you. It's body awareness that matters first. So I like to write from that grounded place. It's connected. I'll go back to that word of flow. When you channel words and they move through you and there's a free flow, that always, for me, it always means I'm embodied. I am in my body feeling this down into the root, right? So deep breath, of course, always is really, really nice because you can kind of remember to come back in to your body and start there versus your overthinking mind that wants to analyze every little thing and make sure it's good enough and all the things, right? So writer's block is BS, you guys. There is no writer's block. You're just overthinking and you forgot to be in your body, right? So the deep breath is a quick go-to when I need it.
Yeah. And I'm smiling when you're saying that because it reminds me of, and you have guests on for your poetry, whatever you do, you have guests so that they hear maybe a different perspective. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's in Maryland. He's a poet. And we did that. I can't remember his name, but he was a great poet. And he was also was he a jazz musician?
Yeah, Reuben Jackson. Thank you, Reuben.
He was great. He was great because, you know, and that was that whole sensual piece. That was not me. I mean, it was me writing, but it's normally not how I write. But he brought up, I don't know what it was, a hat. He brought up like just an item or a scenario, and he wanted us to write quickly about that scenario. And what I wrote was sensual. And he was impressed with what I wrote, and I go, wow. And, I impressed this guy who's been writing poetry for a long time. So it's a great feeling to be able to be in that space with other creative people and flowing and expanding. And that's why I keep on coming back.
And don't you love it when you surprise yourself with the pen on the paper? You're like, whoa, did I write that? Yeah. Like, who is that wrote that thing, right? Yeah, Reuben Jackson was part of we do guest expert workshops, and he is a local poet and radio show host, amazing guy. He just wrote a back cover review for our 100 Poems and Possibilities book that's going to be launching in January. So you're going to see his beautiful words on the back of that book. But yeah, love that guy. And I love all the people that I bring in. That's just part of how I collaborate. I can teach a lot of things, but I can't teach everything. And I'm not an expert at all the things. Plus, even if I am an expert at the thing, there are 10 other people who might bring a way of teaching it to you that you need to hear.
Right.
And so I want to collaborate with people who do what I do, and I want to collaborate with people who do what I don't do. And I want all of us to, have fun together, because there's plenty of business for everyone. There's plenty of collaboration opportunity for everyone. And I like to live that way. It's way more fun, than competition mindset.
Right. No, I agree. And I'm smiling again. I'm making those connections. And it just happened with the podcast that we had for the 100 Poems. And I had a different thought of how I was going to introduce myself and the why. And then Guy was before me, and he spoke about his why. And I go, I haven't thought about when I first started writing. And that was my teacher in parochial school. Guy had talked about, his experience with the Catholic Church and what he has done and where his direction shifted. And I thought, you know what? I forgot about that. I forgot going to parochial school and doing all the right things. And then how that one teacher made a difference in my creativity and my ability to write. And she must come back to me when I'm doing this, because her thought and the experience I had with her flows with me.
Definitely the inspiration of that. And that's storytelling for you. And I love the author interviews, and thank you for being in that project and being a part of that awesome energy and bringing you all in to talk about the why. And that was one of the reasons why I chose the question about the why, is because you'll share a story that has this energy to it, right? And again, sometimes you surprise yourself, like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought of that in ages, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the collaboration. And I continue to see connections. So we'll just circle back to the Networking for Healers book if you want to talk a little bit more about that, and where the audience can find out about that. I know you have your website, www.bravehealer.com, where they can find out all about you and what you have to offer. But if you want to give a little more input on the Networking for Healers book, or their transformational school, this is your time to do that if there's anything that I missed.
Thank you. Networking for Healers, curating the conversations, connections, and community that manifest your dream business. It's on Amazon right now. So you can type in Networking for Healers and you'll find it. This is the book that you will love if you hate networking, like I did. So if you feel that way about that word, I want you to pick up the book and have it change your life and your business. And this is a life book as well as a business book, because when you connect with people, whether you have a business or not, your world is going to change, right? So you guys can find that on Amazon. I'm super happy to hear from you as well about how you liked it. We're going to get together with a couple of groups of authors in the new year for the Brave Healer Writers Retreat. If you want to come and heal and write and publish with us in 2024, I would be happy to chat with you more about that. And come connect with me on social. You'll find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So can't wait to reach out. And Heidi, thank you so much for what you're doing here and just allowing me to be here to share my message.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I always love to share what I'm learning and maybe what I missed. And that's where you can come in. Maybe if you could share a little bit about who's going to be at the retreat to intrigue people a little bit more. I know you have some great things and people
Oh my gosh.
bring
Yes.
a creative juice.
The retreat is going to be freaking amazing, you guys. It's in upstate New York at the Honors Haven Retreat Center. It's in Ellensville, New York. And I invited my master teacher healer friends in. These are not beginner people that are going to help facilitate our activities. Stephanie Urbina Jones and Jeremy Pager are going to be doing Sacred Journey breath work. They have devoted their entire lives to this journey, and they are amazing people. You are in for a treat. That one presentation alone will be worth the price of admission, honestly. We have Bradford Tilden's going to be doing some sound healing at the retreat. Bradford, thank you so much for being a part of this. Oh my gosh, that presentation alone is going to be amazing. Colleen Avis is going to be doing some yoga for us, restorative yoga. And we have Atlantis Wolf, who's going to be working a fire ceremony to release limiting beliefs. Atlantis is a badass, y'all. Like, she is a healer, master healer, teacher, badass. Like, you're not going to believe being in her energy is a game changer. And who am I forgetting? Holly Jackson is a business coach. She's going to talk to us about marketing and promoting your work after you publish it. It's important. We need to know that stuff too. She is a really connected business strategist, amazing woman, author as well. And Susie Schaefer is a fellow publisher. She's going to be doing a special tarot activity with us. She is a healer and a publisher. And of course, I'm going to be there telling you sharing how to share your story in a way that changes lives. And then we're going to publish 2 books together, 2 collaborative expert collaborations. We'll go home after the retreat and start those projects, and they'll publish later on in 24.
Nice. So this is, this brings together what you had mentioned earlier, not knowing everything, right? And bringing in those experts that can share that to help us get grounded. So you talked about someone who's going to be doing breath work, grounding, releasing those fears that keep us stuck and in our comfort zone. Business, because starting a business, like we mentioned earlier, is challenging, and the marketing is everything. And I'm still learning that and still working on where does it go? How do I get to a bigger audience? It's easy to start it, but then how do you expand that? And you need the support of somebody who has done that. So that's nice that it's bringing in all those different pieces in one place. And I'll be there. I'll be taking in all that information and coming up with a great story. Yeah, I don't remember what were the 2 books, because I think that's important that they know that they'll also be supported in becoming a part of a book as well.
Yes, there's a big mission for the retreat, and that you are part of one of the expert collaborations that we'll be publishing. One of them is called How to Be Brave, and we're going to be sharing healing tools with our reader audience in terms of moving through fear to the other side of it and doing those amazing things that you want to do with your life. The other book is called Love Warriors Volume 2, and we're going to focus on soul-filled relationships, relationships of all kinds. That would include relationship with self or a lover. It might be a relationship with a boss or a sibling. Communication, and when you're in relationship with people, gosh, that's a lot of life, isn't it? So we want to offer that book as well. These books are just going to be amazing. Jenny Hawkyard did the artwork for both of our covers of this book, and she does artwork for Hay House and a bunch of other places. She is an amazing artist, and I'm so excited to have her in the collaboration as well.
Okay. Now, how do you choose which book? Do we decide? Do you decide, hey, what you have to offer would fit best in this? How does that work?
We'll definitely chat about where your best fit is for either of those. I think the relationships book is going to be for those of you who, that really excites you, talking about a tool or a strategy that can help you enhance relationships. Of course, you're all going to have a story too that fits in one of the books. And my Brave Healer audience typically could write for either of those books. So we'll fit people in where it's best fit, but we're going to talk to everybody about, what they want to do there.
Okay. Because that's a really packed weekend. There's a lot happening, but I know your organizational skills will make those happen very smoothly. So I think, it's nice to feel that there's a lot offered. It's not just something basic. You're giving us so much for that price. I feel is phenomenal.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi. Thanks for recognizing that. The retreat itself, 3 gorgeous meals a day, all activities included, beautiful meditation grounds to walk in. The facilities there are amazing. So just your 4 nights with us at Honors Haven is going to be worth it. But then we are going to go home and we're going to start this 4 to 5 month writing project together. And we'll be online on Zoom. And I have those well organized. You'll know what book you're writing for before you come to the retreat, because I want you to know so that we can hit the ground running for our activities that we do for the writing. And of course, a lot of things will happen in the retreat itself. But then after we go home and we have some time to process the experiences and come back into life and start thinking about the books, then we have our whole time together as well over Zoom and as a group. And that is also phenomenal because you'll be getting to meet authors from all over the place and really not only be writing a book together, but you'll also be creating a community together. And if you could tell from the beginning of this interview, we've said community a lot of times today, haven't we?
Yeah.
Right, because it matters to me quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you touched on a good point too, is it's not just on a national level. This is international. This is global. I've spoken to people in France and in Scotland and where else? Switzerland.
Oh my gosh, India, Switzerland, Canada, they're everywhere, you guys.
And I love
they are all over the world.
Yeah, these tools are universal. And I love that whole concept and being a part of that and the groups that you have to offer in the project. So I appreciate all that you do to make that happen, and the team that you bring that just make that so much more of an experience.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm so honored and grateful and proud of this community. I feel so lucky. I pinch myself every morning that I get to play in the sandbox with all of you every day, and people who really take responsibility for their own energy and they are showing up in the world with that awareness and that love and that generosity and that deep willingness to connect and build their community, right? That is most every single person I run into here has that desire. So that's big energy when we come together.
Yeah. And I'm just going to end this and sum this up with a couple of different things that you mentioned. Is I love the word play, because as adults we get to be playful, and playful is part of being creative, being in the moment, flowing. And that's what I teach in my sensory alignment therapy, is how to be in the moment, how to feel what you're feeling, how to sense one sense at a time what you're doing. And that's what happens with the creative process with your books and with your programs, and expanding that. So being playful, being creative, allowing that flow to happen, becoming your authentic self, and just constantly being in the moment. So you're listening and you're saying, okay, what does my community need? What is it that didn't happen in this one? We something great happened, but now what's next? And that's where that expansion comes from, and all that you have to offer. Um, and it connects to all of your mission, your networking, community. Are there any tips that you want to leave us with as a healthcare professional, as a healer, to help build a business and achieve the goals, not only yours, but also other people's goals in building a business?
Mm, for sure, I have a couple of those. I also don't want to forget to mention your beautiful chapter for Brave Kids, our short story collaboration. I just read it the other day.
Oh,
It's amazing, and we haven't talked about Brave Kids books yet today, so I just want to shout out Kelly Kashula, because our short story collaborations for kids, and especially just reading Heidi's chapter for our newest one coming up in 24, made me smile so much. I love these stories, you guys. But you know, that's such a great example of what you're asking me, because the tip is to ask yourself, what else is possible? How else could I move out into the world in bigger, juicier ways and feel the joy and the love and the gratitude that I want to feel with other people who want to do that with me? And just, if you don't have the idea yet, what if you just sit with the question itself, what else is possible? And I think tip number 2 would be, have a vision that's so big that other people want to help you build it. Dream bigger. And while you're in it for the abundance to be able to generously take care of yourself and everyone you love and serve, your vision pulls all those kinds of people to you. Dream bigger, vision bigger. Let it scare you, and then drop back into your body and meditate with, what else is possible. It's exciting to maybe even not know the answer to that yet.
yeah.
So that's what I want to leave you with.
I love that. And I think it's falling into that fear with the safety net that's been provided in these programs. And if this has sparked something in anyone listening, this is the time to just reach out to get some non-judgment information from Laura, Brave Healers Productions, what you have to offer, what you're thinking, what maybe your ideas are, whether it seems crazy to you. We don't think it's crazy. We think it has possibilities, right? So Laura's here for you, everybody on the team, in the community. We're all here to support what your ideas might be and where you might want to spark your next big idea. So we're here for you. If you have any questions, again, it's Brave Healer Productions, www.bravehealer.com. And Laura, any other shout outs? You want them to see you on any other social media platforms as well?
Well, last invitation is we have this beautiful free networking event for our healer friends every first and third Monday. It's the Monday Morning Breakthroughs, and you can find us in the Facebook group, Brave Badass Healers, a community for world changers. Come and join the Zoom and have some fun with us. We have a great event a couple times a month.
Yes. Yeah, I've been a part of that. I love it. It's another part of building community. So thank you so much, Laura, for everything that you have to offer, for playing in the sandbox and being okay with other people within your sandbox. And I value and appreciate all that you bring to the table. So thank you so much for all that you have to offer and for sharing your story. And again, reach out to Laura if you have any thoughts, ideas on expanding your thinking and your ideas and your projects.